So I think one of the most interesting things I've learned this year is the fact that there are so many mothers out there who absolutely treat their daughters like shit. Now, I didn't know this firsthand because my mom didn't do that, and I have mostly sisters. I have a couple brothers, but I have a lot of sisters, let's just put it that way. And at least as far as I know, from my point of view, I've never seen that in my family. But since I've gotten on the internet and my wife has told me about this sort of thing, I've seen it more and more and more, especially on TikTok. A lot of firsthand examples, also people just talking about their experiences, which we're going to look at a little bit of that throughout this video because I just still have a hard time just understanding, like, how does this happen? Even though I've looked at the psychology behind it and all these things, but it's still confusing because it just seems so counterintuitive. Like, how does this happen? Seriously, especially in some of these really extreme cases. Now, I knew about, for instance, Jennette McCurdy and her mom, Deborah, and that whole shit show. You probably know what I'm talking about. But basically, just to kind of TLDR it, we'll look more into details later. But basically, Jennette McCurdy, one of the big stars on iCarly and Sam and Cat, many of us grew up with those shows, was treated like absolute dog shit by her mother. Her mother controlled her, made her do all types of different things, forced her to act effectively. She was allegedly a narcissist of some variety. I think it was a covert narcissist. And basically, if she didn't get her way, it was a problem. Every single time it was a problem. And this led to all different types of emotional abuse. And there's so many aspects of the Jennette McCurdy story that I think has resonated with a lot of young girls, especially, and women. And I've seen that in my comments on a previous video where I talked about something similar to this. So yeah, the sentiment is for certain very, very, very real. And I kind of just want to start with this example titled, "My Mom is My Biggest Hater." And you'll see why in just a second.
Anyone else's mom actually know how to suck the life out of them? Because I was having the best day of my life today. I was in such a good mood, so happy. Such a good day today. The second my mom comes out, because she's going on a bike ride, she just has to say the most. She is rage baiting me. I swear to God, my mom rage baits me on purpose. Because now I'm in a bad mood, now my head hurts, now I don't even want to go to the gym. I was in such a good mood, and she'll just say stuff. First thing, she comes to my car. "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I just got back from work." "You were only at work for that long? Your eyelashes awful, take them off. Why do you look like that? What are you doing on your phone? This, that. You have to do this. What's that inside?" Let me breathe. Let me breathe.
So obviously you don't need me to explain to you what you just watched. It's pretty damn on the nose. It's pretty tired. A mommy dearest being a pain in the ass all the time. And that has to be the most common sentiment I have heard about this topic in general, honestly. It also tends to go along with the statement, "My mom was my first bully," or "My mom was my biggest bully," something like that. And it's come up time and time again. I've seen it on TikTok all over the place. And it's pretty sad to watch because obviously growing up with a bully is already a problem in and of itself. But then when that bully is your own mother, I can only imagine how harmful that could be to your own self-esteem, like your own outlook on life. If you're constantly around this negative energy that keeps putting you down, it's gonna be hard to literally just see your own value, like, in yourself, because you're constantly told you're not enough, your eyelashes suck, those don't look good on you. Like, how are you supposed to be confident in yourself when your own family, your own mother is telling you that you effectively shouldn't be? That's a really tough hurdle to get over. Now, some of you probably have heard of this creator. Her name is Ash Trevino. She was actually just arrested recently for some type of healthcare fraud. She's claiming innocence. I'm calling bullshit. I honestly, with the way her attitude is and the fact that she loves to hang around, ex-convicts and bring those people around her children, I don't think she has much care for people who break the law, right? And which tells me that she probably has no issue doing it herself. So her being arrested for healthcare fraud, not surprised at all. But before I show you the arrest and her aftermath, try and act like she's innocent when, come on, try again. Before I show you that, I want to point out, for those who don't know who Ash Trevino is, she is a TikTok mom, basically. She makes content often around her daughters. She talks to them negatively all the time. She's constantly putting her kids down, saying that they're not enough, saying that, their lips aren't big enough, that they don't look good enough, all these different types of things. And she hates when her daughters get attention from their father, and she's one of those, like, she treats her daughters as like competition, not like her kids, which is one of the biggest categories of mothers who treat their daughters like shit. And she often chooses these ex-cons over her own kids, which in turn is going to make it harder for them to form healthy relationships with men or even women too, if they see anybody like their own mother, even if maybe they just have some characteristics that might hit too close to home, be like, you know what, I don't want anything to do with this kind of person.
Trevino was just arrested. This is what she's charged with and the time that she is facing. So as you can see, she was arrested last night around 10 p.m. and charged with 2 offenses. Here are her inmate details. And here are her charges: healthcare fraud between $2,500 and $30,000, and secure execution document deception also between $2,500 and $30,000. So the first charge is healthcare fraud, which involves intentionally deceiving healthcare
I know I didn't do anything wrong. I did not. So, I'm gonna keep saying that because I didn't do anything wrong. The fuck? I just have a lot of haters, and that's what it is. So, yeah, I blame the haters. Yeah, I'm blaming y'all. But yeah, so I didn't do nothing wrong. I don't care. Oh my god.
Is that the face of somebody who absolutely did nothing wrong? I don't think so. It doesn't look like it to me. She looks about as guilty as they come. She looks like a little puppy dog who you just caught breaking into the pantry and ripping open a giant 35-pound bag of puppy chow. That's what she looks like right now, except not as cute. But yeah, Ash is probably the poster mama for moms who treat their daughters like shit. Now, obviously, we only have what happens on camera, and that's not a good thing, because what happens on camera is pretty atrocious in and of itself. But you can only picture, if this is what you're allowed to see, that what you're not allowed to see could probably be a lot worse. It's usually, the behavior you can observe that they make public is usually just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, think of like the Ruby Frankie, if you remember her from 8 Passengers on YouTube. Like, what you saw in the videos were bad a lot of the time, but what was happening beneath the surface was so much worse. And in fact, if you don't know a whole lot about Ruby Frankie, I made a video about her and actually one of her kids speaking up about the abuse that they experienced in that household, being a family vlog channel, which is terrible, absolutely terrible. But it's on my Crow Gator Mysteries channel. If you want to go take a look at that, feel free at any point. Now, regardless, this treatment that Ash is doing, it's a part of a much bigger pattern, obviously. And her treating her daughters like shit, choosing ex-cons over them all the time, choosing to make videos and laugh over their well-being. Like, one time, one of the girls was talking about throwing up, and she just laughed and danced like she was not interested in trying to help. But there's so many problems that stems from this type of behavior, and Ash is representative of so many people who already do this.
Okay, well, I'm waiting for Santos to come pick me up.
He's picking you up?
We're going to the mall.
Bro, you were supposed to come pick me, Nicole, Haley up.
Bro.
You ditched us again.
Stop.
Yeah. Wait, can we go to the mall with you? Please? Please? Like, Nicole wants to go to the mall.
Nicole has school tomorrow.
We both have school tomorrow. Andy!
Nicole, double tap my screen, Nicole.
Oh man. Take me to the mall.
Nicole, double tap my screen.
So if you didn't quite catch that, she was supposed to take her daughters to the mall, go shopping, and, you know, spend some time with their mother, do some bonding activities, you know, normal things, nothing too crazy. I mean, it's not like they were asking her to go to war and to get into the trenches for them. They just wanted to go to the mall. What an absurd request. And she's like, no, I got some ex-cons I want to hang out with. And also, make sure to double tap the screen. You know, send me some galaxies while you're at it. Send me your money. And there's so much more to Ash Trevino nonsense, but maybe we'll talk about it another day. Now, I just want to briefly touch on this again. This is Kendra McCurdy. Now, she's an extreme example of shitty moms, right? Now, people have speculated that she might have like Munchausen's by internet proxy. I know that sounds so silly, but legitimately that's what they're saying. Because she did this out of fear of her daughter not needing her, kind of thing, right? She wanted her daughter to need her, so she treated her like shit and said that she'd have sex with her boyfriend. I know, the natural progression. Clearly, Mama here is totally rational, not crazy at all, in the slightest. Totally normal motherly thing to do, you know, to threaten to steal your daughter's, like, 15-year-old boyfriend and have sex with him. Yeah, it happens all the time. But yeah, she bullied her a lot through text for years. I think it was like a year and a half or something like that, maybe even 2 years. Just thousands and thousands and thousands of messages of just absolutely berating this poor child. Here's just the, you know, free starter pack of examples. You are worthless and mean. Nothing you ever have. Get a fucking life. Out of here. Owen will never look at you again or talk to you. You fucked his life up so bad. His family fucking hates you for it. And he will never in his life acknowledge you again. Get the fuck lost, bitch. He is fucking done with you. This is her mom, by the way. This isn't like some deranged high school bully. I mean, I guess it is. But not your typical one who's, you know, the same age as her and is just like, I don't know, a jealous wench trying to put you down because, you know, she can't battle with her own insecurities. No. This is Mommy Dearest. Her beloved mother birthed her, you know, 15 years prior to this, carried her in her womb for 9 months, nurtured her, took care of her, all of those things, just to pick up a phone someday and become her biggest bully of all time. And here's another example. You dress like an effing slut. You trying to get attention? Fuck off. And here's the icing on the cake for you. Owen is breaking up with you. He no longer likes you and hasn't liked you for a while. It's obvious he likes me. He laughs, smiles, touches my hair. Not sure what he told you, but he is coming to the Halloween party and we're down to fuck. You're a sweet girl, but I can give him what he wants. Well, there's no doubt in my mind who gets the Mother of the Year award. Kendra McCurdy, where you at? Come on stage. No, for being honest, she should get Psychotic Lunatic of the Year or Bully of the Year or something, you know, adjacent to one of those things, because that's precisely what she was. And the reason why I bring up this example is it's an extreme example of moms being, you know, their daughter's biggest bully, but it's a crystal clear example. There's no nuance here. She was a bully, an absolute bully. And obviously, you know, most girls, I hope, and most women don't have to deal with this level of berating from their moms, I hope. I don't know exactly. I'm guessing probably not. I'm guessing this isn't mainstream. This seems like a pretty out there example. But regardless, it highlights a very true, very real problem of being bullied by your mom. And it sucks. It's really unfortunate. And one of the emotional scars that especially comes out of situations like this is this often leads to a dislike towards other women in your life, you know, because you may make an association with them to your mom, who obviously probably can't stand. I imagine you probably don't enjoy this type of shit when it happens. And that just completely dismantles your trust and safety with your own mother and possibly other women in your life. And sometimes this even results in complete rejection of women and a dependence on men. And, you know, that can become a problem in and of itself, especially sometimes you end up in a situation where you're dependent on a boyfriend or whatever, and they treat you like shit too, but not as bad as your mom. So you think it's fine because, you know, being treated like shit has been normalized by your mother. And then you end up in an abusive, toxic relationship and don't even fucking know it. So this type of conditioning that these bully types are doing is unbelievably harmful. Now, before we go really into the Deborah McCurdy example, I want to show you this last TikTok video titled "Narcissistic Moms Hate Their Firstborn Child."
So I took the kids to a trampoline park, and I was sitting next to this mom, and her kids walked up to her, and I seen how much they looked like her, and I was like, wow, they took your entire face. And she was like, oh, they just like me. I can't stand it. Let me tell you why she can't stand it. Now, I didn't ask her why she can't stand it. I just stopped talking, because why you got to be so negative about your own kids? But this is where it starts. When black mothers, narcissistic mom, I ain't gonna say black mothers because I just literally saw a white girl with her mama talking to her all kind of ways. Narcissistic moms hate their daughters, the firstborn daughter. They hate their daughters because this child causes them to look at themselves. A child that is exactly like you forces you to look at yourself. My daughter forces me to look at myself. And if I don't look at myself, I will always be pointing the finger at her, hating her, jealous of her, talking to her any kind of way. Like, it would be so much trauma that I would be instilling into her if I didn't look within and do the work on myself. These moms, narcissistic, toxic mothers, hate to look within. They hate to look at themselves. So they hate their kids. That's just a simple way to put it. They not gonna look at themselves. They gonna point the blame. They gonna put the blame on that child for everything.
Exactly right, and this is a point I know a lot of people can relate to, because this video was one of many just like it, talking about how they don't like the reflection, even if you're not that much alike. Even if you just maybe look alike, you know, that could be enough to make them see their own insecurities, their own issues with themselves. Especially this bleeds a lot into like the success, right? Where you may be successful in some way, shape, or form, and they might not like it because you might be doing better than they were. And they don't want to see that. They don't want to see you do better than them sometimes. It's particularly these more narcissistic types who don't want to see that. And as such, they're going to put you down as much as possible so they can diminish your success, right? They want to do that because it makes them feel better about themselves, right? If you accomplish more than they did, it makes them feel better about themselves. Now, most of you probably already know this, but Jennette McCurdy went through some shit. Okay, she went through some shit. Now, I don't know if you know the full extent of it. I don't even know the full extent of it. But what I've heard so far is, God, is that enough? Is that enough to talk about already? But she wrote a whole book. Glad My Mom Died is what it's called. And she just talked about her entire experience with her mother. And it's horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And we're just going to look at a couple big examples of what she went through. It highlights a few different things. She shows so many parts of the same extreme, right? Like the biggest one I think is like moms who treat their children as extensions of themselves to do their bidding, to lack of a better term. Like, you were born to do what I tell you. You're mine. You're my property almost. That's how they treat them. And that's exactly how Jennette's mother treated her. She didn't see her as her own individual. She saw her as an extension of herself, and therefore she can control her and make her do whatever she asked. And I think that's what led to a lot of these horrifying boundary breaks.
She lived vicariously through me.
Jennette had her first audition at age 6, encouraged by her late mom, Deborah. Their mother-daughter bond, deeply disordered and chaotic. She says her family struggled financially. Over time, like so many other child stars, her acting paid the bills.
It felt like a lot of pressure. And then I think my mom saw my career as a way out of that life, of that way of living, of that constant grind.
How chaotic was that childhood home? You describe it with one line that stuck with me, that the air in the house felt like a held breath.
It was really complicated. My mom also had cancer when I was 2 years old. That was the first time she was diagnosed. So not only was it chaotic because of the abuse that was happening and my mom's violent and erratic, unstable behavior, but also because we all lived in fear of her cancer coming back.
That volatile relationship is at the center of Jennette's dark and deeply personal memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died.
What made you pick that?
I think I earned that title through the writing of the book, but I wanted it to be something that would grab people's attention and get them to pick up the book and then hopefully learn by the end of it why I have chosen that title.
From the tender age of 11, she says her mother taught her the dangerous habit of calorie restriction, which would turn into years of eating disorders.
In many ways, your mother tried to keep you a child.
Yeah, I think my mom wanted to keep me as controllable as possible. I think she really wanted to have her influence on me, and me growing up was a threat to that.
The key to that was calorie restriction.
Absolutely. I think my mom encouraged and conditioned my anorexia because both she thought that it would in some ways help my career, and also because it served her goal of keeping me young and under her influence.
So we'll pick up with a little bit more of the interview in just a second, but I want to just kind of do a little checkpoint here to talk about what she's already stated. Now, she mentions right at the beginning that basically mom saw her as an extension of herself, that she could control and make do whatever she wanted. She did not see Jennette as an independent person at all, not even in the slightest. And we're only going to get more examples of that in this second part of this video. Now, she starts talking about the calorie thing, right? The calorie deficits, basically forcing her to be skinny. Now, they'll speak very specifically about anorexia, but this is pretty common as well. I've seen this a lot in different types of stories where a mother will force their kid to basically not eat at all and be extremely underweight, and they think it's a good thing. They think it's a good thing because they may have their own insecurities with weight, and they're like, oh, you need to be so skinny because I'm so fat, so because I'm so fat, you're so fat, sort of thing, even if you're not. And that sort of behavior is terrifying, especially as a child. Like, what are you supposed to do about that? Like, you're constantly told this, you believe it. You end up believing it. And it's so dangerous because there's so many kids who have ended up in the hospital, dangerously unhealthy because of this type of behavior. And it's absolutely terrible.
Episodes of her childhood that for years Jennette says she blocked out. She describes how her mother would give her showers and touch her invasively until she was a teenager.
She referred to them as medical exams on your private parts.
Yes. This was the hardest part of the book for me to write about. It was a really emotional experience. I laughed during the writing of it, and then I cried a lot after I wrote that vignette.
You talk about basically having out-of-body associations, out-of-body experiences when this is happening to you.
Yeah.
What do you think was going on?
I've tried to understand, and that didn't lead me anywhere productive. I would just spin my wheels trying to understand my mom's motives.
This continued until you were 17?
Yeah.
And you describe in the book that you felt violated.
Yes, I absolutely felt violated, and eventually accepting that was the most, I think, integral piece to my own healing and recovery.
It would take Jennette years to seek proper help and start therapy to begin grappling with her trauma.
I couldn't initially accept the idea that my mother was abusive toward me because my whole way of life, my whole way of going through the world I was operating through this lens of my mom wants what's best for me. Even after she died, I'm nothing without my mom. I can't do anything without my mom. I'm incapable, I'm incompetent. What would mom want? What would mom think? What does mom need? That accepting that she was abusive would have meant reframing my entire life. And that felt impossible. I couldn't go near that for a long time.
So yeah, the adverse effects of mom treating her like shit resulted in a lot of trauma, unsurprisingly. Anybody surprised by that? I don't think so. This is definitely a surefire way to accomplish that if that is ever your goal, which it almost seems like it was because of how just blatant and how persistent it was. I mean, bathing your almost adult daughter at the age of 17, and she said sometimes with her brother, like that's just, what are you doing? What are you doing at that point? That is just unbelievable. I don't even know how you fathom that idea. But again, it comes down to the narcissism, right? She doesn't see her daughter as a person, as her own autonomous person. She sees her as an extension that she can control and do whatever she wants with. Anyway, it's pretty clear that the Jennette McCurdy example is an extreme one by far, but it highlights so many individual components that many young girls and women face with their own parents, which is one of the biggest reasons why her book resonated with so many people. They could see themselves in some of these scenarios. Obviously not too many of the extreme ones, but in some of these scenarios, or take certain things from the book that they could relate in their own lives. And it's really, really sad, but it's a problem that I'm hoping is improving, because the people who are now becoming mothers themselves are those who suffered through this bullshit right now, right? And it seems like many are awake and they have their eyes open to the emotional, mental abuse that they suffered at the hands of their own mothers, and are deciding to be absolutely nothing like that, which is a great thing.